everyone. It has been a long while since I have made a video here, and a lot has changed for me, and I'll bet a lot has changed for you. But there is one thing I have become increasingly clear about over the last several months, and that is I refuse to feel old, even if I am getting older. And yes, there is a difference. I'm not afraid of getting older. In fact, there are things about this season of my life that I would not trade for anything. The wisdom, the experience, the self-knowledge, the love, the depth of love I have in my relationships, and the willingness to say no to things that no longer belong in my life, or maybe that never belonged in my life, and yes to the things that do. Yes to the things that I want. And what I refuse to accept is this idea that getting older means becoming less energetic, less vibrant, less sensual, less sexual, less curious, less relevant, less of who I am. And yet, that is the story women receive from almost every direction. We see it in the way our culture talks about aging. We see it in all the advertisements on social media. We see it in the way women's bodies are talked about. We see it in the way filters are meant to make us look younger. And we see it especially when we reach perimenopause and menopause. And suddenly the conversation revolves around everything we're losing: our hormones, our energy, our sleep, our libido, our muscle, our bone density, our focus, our waistline, our good moods, and sometimes even a sense of who we are. It's like all this talk about a man's midlife crisis, but we women start to experience it now in this phase. And what does that mean? Well, I've become really interested in asking different questions. And those are, what if this season isn't only about what we're losing, or isn't even at all about what we're losing? What if it's also about who we're becoming? Who is the woman that we are embodying? And that may sound familiar to those of you who have been with me for a while. Many of you originally found me through astrology, and I've always loved that astrology gives us a way to understand the seasons and cycles of our lives. There are times to begin, there are times to end, there are times to grow, times to release, times to rest, and times when life asks us to stop holding back and embody the woman we've always been inside. I've never believed, though, that astrology is here to dictate what happens to us or when. I see astrology as a tool for listening more deeply to ourselves, to our lives, and to the season that we're in. And lately, I've begun thinking about menopause and perimenopause in much the same way. What if this were actually a threshold? I mean, of course, menopause, perimenopause, they happen in a body. Hormones matter, sleep matters, stress matters, metabolic changes matter, dry hoo-has matter. But as a registered nurse and traditional naturopath, I want you to know I care deeply about supporting the physical woman. But I also care about the woman living in that body, her soul and her spirit, because something else often begins happening around this time. And that is we start realizing that our time and energy are precious resources. The things that used to inspire us change. Our values change. Relationships change. Our purpose seems to change, and our responsibilities may still seem enormous. You know, they don't call Gen Xers the sandwich generation for nothing. We got aging parents, growing children, work, life, all these responsibilities, but our willingness to give ourselves away quite so freely starts to change. Thank goodness. And we may begin asking some very different questions. Where is my energy actually going? What matters to me now? What no longer fits? And I think this is the most important question of all. What do I want enough energy for? I don't believe that energy is the destination. I don't believe that vitality is the destination. It's what the greater energy makes possible that matters. Traveling, creating something, playing an instrument, playing with your grandchildren if you have them, or maybe making sure that someday you do have the energy to play with them when they finally come along. Deepening your relationships, serving your community, starting a business, reviving your business, changing your business, rediscovering pleasure. Simply waking up and feeling like you have the capacity to participate fully in your own life. That's vitality. And I want to say that again. Vitality is feeling like you have enough capacity. You have all the capacity that you need to participate fully in your life. And that's the conversation I want us to be having as wise women. In fact, it has become the foundation for something new that I'm creating called Reimagining Menopause. Reimagining Menopause is an intimate, interactive workshop where we come together and explore a different way of experiencing this season of life, what I call our second bloom. We reimagine what menopause can mean. We explore how to reclaim our energy by first becoming curious about where it's going versus where we want it to go and what our bodies may be asking us to notice. And then we reveal what greater vitality could make possible in our lives and choose one meaningful step toward that possibility, not what someone else thinks we should do. We choose for ourselves where we want our energy and vitality to be focused. I'm offering both virtual and in-person reimagining menopause workshops throughout throughout the fall of 2026 and probably beyond. So if this conversation speaks to you, I invite you to head over to my website, which I'll also post below. That's www.divinelyjennifer.com. And you'll find the upcoming dates and details there. And if you want to host a workshop, if you live in Northern California, Northern Nevada areas, let me know. Maybe you're in the Bay Area. Maybe you're down in Stockton. Maybe you're in Tahoe. Let me know. Sacramento area, Reno. I'd love for you to have an opportunity to host a workshop yourself and experience the power of these workshops. If you can't attend one virtually or you'd rather attend one in person and I don't have one in your area. And if you want to attend virtually, I've got my first one coming up pretty soon. So definitely head over to my website. For those of you who originally came here for astrology, don't worry. I haven't suddenly decided that planetary alignment, that the sun and moon are boring. Hardly. I started to incorporate them differently though, because my work is evolving just like I am. I really want us to have the whole conversation, the body, our energy, our intuition, our spiritual lives, the cycles we move through, the cycle we are moving through, and what it means to become more fully ourselves as we grow older. Growing older might be inevitable, but feeling old is another story. This season isn't asking us to become less of ourselves. It is inviting us to listen more closely to and embody the wise woman we have always been. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. So again, I invite you to head over to my website, www.divinelyjennifer.com, which I have posted below. Find your workshop today and might want to subscribe if this is something that you're really interested in as well. In the meantime, I am sending you so much love, my friends. It has been a long time and it's really great to be back here. And I'm wishing you a most beautiful day. I am Jennifer Schmid coming to you today as Divinely Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining me.